Hello and welcome everyone. Let me start by saying apologies for not having recorded in quite some time. The main reason for this is that after my results of Eternal Weekend, my Patreon has kind of exploded to where now I have at least once a week coaching sessions, and that takes up quite a lot of my time in preparation, and I love that. So I have not had a lot of time to record, but I'm back now, and I'm happy to give you an update on what I've done. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk you through my new Infect list where I went 7-3 at Eternal Weekend EU, which is a great result. And in Eternal Weekend USA, someone just took my list and also went 9-2 with that build. So just to show you that I do believe that Infect is back big time. I think the deck is very good right now. And if you've been wanting to play Infect again, I think now is the time to do so. All right, let's just dive in. Right, so as I said, I will go over first my list that I played in Eternal Weekend, and I will talk you through why I've made these changes, why I'm playing certain cards, the amounts, etc., and why I've done, why I've made the decisions that I've made. So first off, if you're interested in checking out my Patreon, by the way, check the description. Link will be there to my Patreon, and also if you want to see these lists that I'm popping up on screen right here, check the description. They will all be in there. Let me start by saying the biggest upgrade to the deck is this card right here. If you haven't seen it yet, Legolas' Quick Reflexes. This card is freaking amazing, and it is the biggest upgrade that Infect has gotten, in my opinion, ever. It really is that strong. I want to talk about this card first because it really does. It is the reason why Infect is so good again right now. So what we have here is split second for 1 green, and the split second thing is what makes this so powerful. So what happens is you get to untap target creature until end of turn. That creature gains hexproof, reach, and when it gets tapped, it deals damage equal to its power to up to 1 target creature. This is pretty much everything we want in the Infect deck. It gives us protection, but instead of like Finds of Vastwood where it could be countered, people can't do anything about this, right? The split second is what makes this card so powerful, because if we now go for Invigorating Berserk on our creature, very often what we have to worry about is like our opponent having swords plus force to will, and we still lose, and we have 3 for 1 ourselves. Now in this case, if we are able to Invigorate Berserk a creature, we just know we win, easy. This literally is Infect's Teferi Time Raveler. This is our I win button, and it shows. It is really, really powerful. And this card is the reason why I think Infect is the strongest it has ever been. So I've talked about this card a lot, and when we will see the gameplay, I'm going to talk about it a bit more. But let's go over to the deck list first, shall we? So here you can see the main event, Legacy main event, 7-3 with this build. I could have gotten even more. My only losses in Eternal Weekend were against Blood Moon / Shadows of the Void decks. All 3 losses, literally. So the only time I lost any games was when I was not able to play any Magic. And I will talk about how I will make changes moving forward. So this is my list. I will go to this view and talk you through all the cards in detail in just a sec. But let's go first over to Michael Everett. I hope I pronounced that name correctly, which is a player who went 9-2 with the exact same build in United States, Eternal Weekend. I shouldn't say the exact same build. They changed 2 cards in the sideboard. They are playing 1 Triumph less and 1 Forest more. That's it. The main board is exactly the same, so they copied the list, made some minor changes, and then just ran it through a 9-2 finish, which is pretty damn amazing. All right, so now we've got that out of the way. Let me start by saying how I created this build. Why do I think that this build is so strong? I think the main thing that I wanted to do with this build is I wanted to have Infect as consistent as possible. Because there's one thing that Infect has been lacking in historical times, it's consistency. Sometimes the deck just feels, we play a lot of one-offs, sometimes 2-offs, like 1 Ponder, 1 Crop Rotation, 1 Wasteland, etc. And that sometimes makes for awkward patterns, right? What I wanted to do with this build is have consistency. And you can see that this basically feels like a Delver deck. Because in consistency with having 4 Ponders, 4 Brainstorms. And then I pretty much did the Delver build where right now, if you look at the counter suite, it's like 4 days, 4 Force to Will. So that's pretty straightforward. 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, and 4 Blood Agent. 20 blue cards. I think that's what you want. And then if you look at the pump spells, I'm playing right now 4 Invigorates and 4 Embiggens. Honestly, Embiggen is another one of those upgrades that has given Infect a huge boost in Legacy. Because Embiggen, for people who don't know the card, it basically gives Glistener Elf and Bladder Agent +4/+4, but Inkmoth Nexus gains +5/+5 at instant speed, which is insanely strong. Now, alongside 4 Legolas Quick Reflexes, that just makes for a very, very good and very consistent build. So why do I play 4 Legolas Quick Reflexes? Honestly, because the card's amazing. That's simply it. You can see that there's no more room for Finals of Vastwood in this list. So what I've done historically is that if you look at the pump spells, right? Infect has always played around 8 pump spells. What we did in the past is we played 4 Invigorates, then we played 3 Vines of Vastwood, and then usually 1 Become Immense, 1 Scale Up, maybe both, but that's 8 or 9 pump spells, if you count Vines as a pump spell. Now, since we have cut Vines of Vastwood, that means we still want to have 8 pump spells, right? So that's why I'm playing 4 Invigorates, 4 Embiggens. They are clearly the best ones right now. Especially in this Bowmasters meta, if you look at this list, if you're playing against Delver, for instance, literally every pump spell that we play saves us from every removal spell that they have. Well, not everything, but 90%. Saves us from Bolt, Bowmasters, etc., all at instant speed. Embiggen, Invigorate, Legolas, that's 12 things that all prevent our creatures from dying, which makes this so consistent. What else do we have? We have 2 Berserks down here. That's pretty stock. 18 lands, that's also pretty stock, especially whether you have the 4 Nobles. The rest of the deck is pretty straightforward. So I love this. You can see I'm playing pretty much 4 ofs of everything, and then 2 Berserks, which is what we have always done in the past. Let's go to the sideboard, because I have made some changes in the sideboard that I haven't played in the past. So 2 Flusterstorms, that's pretty straightforward. You want those against combo decks. They're also good against control decks, etc. 2 Velar Summers. Velar Summer, really good right now. Most combo decks that still exist are black. So you want to have Veils against discard spells. Also good against like Death Shadow, etc. Pretty damn good. Black is everywhere right now. If you're playing Savannah, you play 4 Swords to Plowshares. I've established that quite a while ago, and I'm not going to change that anytime soon, even with Legolas, because Legolas is also a removal spell, a very good one too, especially in combination with pump spells. But you still want to have Swords to Plowshares. I've been thinking about going back to blue-green, but I haven't been able to make it work. I think really want to have Swords, because sometimes, like against the Merit Lage, for instance, you really want to have Swords to Plowshares. Then 2 Force of Vigors, straightforward, against Shallots, etc. And then let's go over the slots that are a bit more, how should I say it, flex slots. I should note that this is specifically for paper magic play. So you can see that I'm only playing 1 Surgical Extraction. That is a bit to the lower end, but in paper magic, honestly, you don't have to worry that much about Reanimator. I think that in general, Reanimator is a deck that really doesn't have that much of a high win rate. And especially in paper play, people just don't enjoy playing Reanimator all that much. The deck really doesn't play very long, so the games go 5 to 10 minutes tops usually. And in paper magic, people want to play longer games, and that's not something that you get to do with a Reanimator. And very often, the opening hand decides whether you win the game or not. So people like playing more magic in paper magic. Which is why I'm playing 1 Surgical, and I never regretted it. I didn't even face Reanimator once, so I think it makes sense. I've played 1 Sylvan Library. Again, that's a choice that I made for paper magic, because I know that especially in Europe, people like to play control decks, and I still like Sylvan Library against control decks. Not as good as it once was with Bowmasters everywhere. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this, but I'll talk about changes I would made after Eternal Weekend in a second. I've also played 1 Seeds of Innocence. That's mainly because I was expecting a lot of 8 casts. Didn't actually see all that much in the room. That's another card I would probably cut. And then the main thing here is 2 Triumph of St. Catherine's. I love Triumph of St. Catherine. It is a win condition on its own against Delver. The main reason that is, if you know me from my online play, I usually play 2 Uros in that slot. However, Uro, sometimes you will not be able to cast it. If it resolves, you win the game. But that's also true for Triumph of St. Catherine, except Triumph only costing 2 is very relevant, especially against the Wasteland deck. And if they do ever get rid of it, it actually comes back. Now, I should note that if they want to get rid of Triumph, they usually need like 2 bolts, something like that. That just never happens against Infect. We have 12 cards that protects Catherine from double bolt, Embiggen, Invigorate, and Legolas, so that's just never happening. So that's the list. So mainly Triumph was there for all the Delver decks, and I think I played against Delver 3 to 4 times in Eternal Weekend, and I won every single game. However, I didn't even see Saint Catherine, so I just don't think we need it anymore with Legolas. Okay, so let's go over the changes I would make moving forward. As I said, I went 7-3, and the only games I lost were against Blood Moon and Chalice decks. So I hate losing to those cards. In general, I hate losing because I just didn't get to play Magic. If we get to play Magic, I usually feel, very happy and I like my odds. But if you lose against Blood Moon or Chalice just because you don't get to play a card, that feels silly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to 4 Force of Figures. I've already done that in my newer builds. Now, the gameplay I'm going to show you in this video is going to be this list because, I went 7-3 with it, so I wanted to show you first how this list plays, but my next video on Legacy will be the new build. So what I did is I've cut Seeds of Innocence and I've cut Sylvan Library, and I've added 2 Force of Vigors, and then, as I said, I'm going to try and cut these 2 Triumphs. I don't think we need it anymore against Delver with us having 4 Legolas, and these are probably going to be 2 Hydroblasts, just to get rid of Blood Moon effects, etc. That just shows you how confident I feel in literally every other matchup. I think I've solved everything. Like Beans right now, Beans control, probably the best control deck, if not the best deck in Legacy right now. It honestly feels like a buy. I'm not exaggerating here. I think I've lost maybe once or twice against the Bean deck, and that's all just Legolas. Honestly, it's insanely powerful in that matchup. So I don't care about that. Delver's fixed too, again, Legolas. Control is fixed and Delver is fixed, so what we usually have to worry about is then combo matchups, but those have generally always been good, so I don't worry about that. What do I have to solve? Well, Blood Moon Chalice decks. So 4 Force of Vigors, 2 Hydroblasts should help to get that done. Alright, let's see how this translates to Magic Online, shall we? So here is the list I'm playing for this league. It's just the same as I just showed you. However, one thing should be clear. I'm playing 2 Euros right now on the sideboard. Reason for this is quite easy. Triumph of Saint Catherine is just not legal on Magic Online. So what's a good exchange? It's easy. That's just Euro. As I said in my newer list, I'm probably going to cut these, but Euro is not bad or anything. If you don't have Saint Catherine, just play Euro. It's okay. The only downside is sometimes you will not be able to play it. Upside, it also draws you cards and gains you life. Catherine gains you life too, but drawing the cards is nice. All right, so let's just hop into the league that I played. Before we dive in, let's not forget thanking our sponsors. Thank you very much to Card Hoarder. They provide you with Magic Online cards. If you like playing a bunch of decks, go check them out. And if you are living in Europe and you often buy cards on Magic Card Market, as everyone does who plays paper Magic, go check out Mjati, because if you buy cards from them, what you can actually do is you can send them a code, Infect or Fenruscloud, after making a purchase, and they will give you a 5% discount on your order. So go check them out. Links are in the description below. Okay, so Easy Money Marksman, that's a name that I recognize. Usually someone who plays Delver most of the time. We'll see if that's the case right now. I don't remember exactly. So opening hand here, pretty damn perfect. I'm on the play, so this has everything that we need. I have a Noble, Day's Protection, I have Lethal, Embiggen Berserk, I have my Threat, and in case anything does go wrong and I need to find Thumb Spell, Threat, I can just ponder here. So I'm going to keep, and I'm very happy with this hand. So let's start by fetching, getting Tropical, and play Noble. So first choice here, we will see the opponent fetch, and they will play Dragon's Rage Channeler. So interesting decision. I opted not to daze. There are situations where you do want to daze the first threat. Reasoning why I didn't do that in this situation is that I think I can safely race my opponent. I already have Lethal, so what I want to do is I don't care if they have Dragon's Rage Channeler. They can have the threat. I'm going to win sooner than them. So what I want to do is I want to resolve Blooded Agent. So what I'm hoping for right now is that if I do play Blooded Agent, I could just play it and then walk into their daze and then daze back. That would be sweet. Let's see what we draw. So I draw Noble. I'm currently under no threat whatsoever, so I have the option either to play Blooded Agent or not to do that. What I want to do is I want to play it safe. That's usually how I tend to play. So I think it's better here to ponder and just dig for more protection spells. What you saw is there was a blue card here, if I remember correctly. Didn't see exactly, it was a bit too fast. However, I do know that I want to have Inkmoth Nexus, because that means I'm going to put Inkmoth Nexus on top. So I get to draw the Nexus. Now I already have my threat, and you can see here, I'm just going to slam down Blooded Agents. This is a really good start. Deploy your threats. My opponent will probably try and get rid of agents. However, if they do that, I still have Noble and Big and Berserk left. So I'm feeling pretty good at this point. There they have the Wasteland. This is interesting. They play Seal of Removal main. That's a card you don't release. I haven't seen it all that much. It pops up occasionally, but honestly, I don't worry about that card all too much. Remember, we have Legolas right now. So good for them, they get to remove Agent and kill Inkmoth Nexus. Unfortunate for us, but so be it. We get to keep Bladder Agent, that's the most important part. Especially because we now get to untap, and I will be able to just resolve this Bladder Agent again. They fire off Seal of Removal immediately, that's perfectly fine by me. So I've drawn Force Will that I put on top, meaning I'm feeling pretty safe from a potential removal spell, so I'm just going to play Bladder Agent. They ponder, let's see what they do. Darcy is now a 3/3 with flying, going to slam in, and I'm probably just going to try and go for it as soon as I can. I'm feeling pretty good. So I put the land on top, so it was not a blue card as I thought. I'm going to play the land, and here they're going to Force Will my Embiggen, and I mean, this to me screams that the shields are down. So they have pitched, let's see, Ponder. So my guess is that they would always use a removal spell first if they had it. So I'm just going to that would happen. So the reason for this is that I feel like at this point, how can I lose this game? I know they have one card in hand, right? I don't need to go for it right now. If I like, imagine if I fight back, like I force, and then they do end up having a bolt, right? This is a good player, so they know what they are doing. I would have lost the game on my own. I don't need to do that, right? I'm hoping that you guys can see why, because next turn what I can do is if I Pendelhaven and attack with these two nobles, that means I'm going to be slamming in with a for 4 attack damage, and then I can just berserk that one, and that's lethal too. But in that case, I have Force Will backup, so that's just more safe. Again, you know me, I'm a safe player, so I'm just going to chill. No need to overextend here. So they brainstorm again. Don't really care. They play a land, and now I know I just win. There we go. So I'm going to force that one, and I know we win. So I do believe playing it safely was better. You never know. Maybe they had the bolt in hand. I don't know about that. Potentially they found it with Brainstorm. Now here we draw Legolas. Nice. I don't need it, but that's the perfect draw. So slam in for 4. Gonna berserk. That means I'm gonna slam in for 8. Cool. Let's go to the next game. Sideboarding against Delver. Pretty straightforward with this build. You basically bring in all your white stuff. So this normally would be Swords and Triumph. You know, I'm not playing Triumph or Magic Online, so I'm playing Urros. And then I just cut Force Wills. That's the worst one right in there. You don't want a 2-for-1 yourself. And Berserk is not necessary. We don't want to play as a combo deck against Delver. We want to play it a bit more control-y, and that's it. Let's see if it paid off. So I'm going to be on the draw here. But this opening hand is okay. It's a bit land heavy, but then again, I don't hate that against Delver. So especially with me having Ponder, this is fine. Not excellent, but it's fine. Definitely not going to mulligan that one away. What I want to do here is I actually want to play Tropical first, and I'm kind of hoping that they Wasteland this. I like doing that against Delver decks because they will be very aggressive with their Wastelands, as they should. It's not wrong. But with a hand like this, you want them to use Wastelands on your mana lands because you want to keep Inkmoth Nexus. So I just ponder, let's see what we get. Okay, so I'm going to put this. Doesn't really matter with this card. What I definitely want to do is I want to play Noble next turn. So they do not have Wasteland, but they are just taking their time. I really like this. You know, what this tells me is that my opponent has a very reactive hand. That's usually how Delver games tend to go. Either they go very aggressive in the beginning and then take control while they are pitching or you know, slamming in each turn. What they want to do is they want to wait, use their hand filled with removal spells against you, and then take over the game afterwards. What you want to do is you don't want to walk into their game plan. So I'm going to chill as well. So at this point, they could have Bowmasters. I am just going to play Noble. I mean, if they Bowmasters Noble, that's really not that big of a problem. Keep in mind, Embiggen on Nexus is 5. There we go. There's the Bowmaster. So they kill Noble. Again, don't really care all that much. That's fine. Bowmasters, once you know how to play against it when you're playing Infect, is really not that big of a deal. It's still not that big of an issue. Interestingly enough here, you can see me here not attacking with Inkmoth Nexus. Again, a very clear reason why. I think their hand is filled with removal spells. What I don't want to do is I don't want to walk into their game plan, right? If I had attacked here, they bolt, I'm Embiggen, and we go into a counter war and I lose that one, I've just completely screwed that one up myself. Double Embiggen is lethal on Inkmoth Nexus, so I don't need to pitch in anymore. Why would I need to attack once each turn? What I want to do is I want to go for the swing in for on one turn, and that's the game that I'm going to win. At least that's what I'm going for. Best thing for me to do here is to even draw Brainstorm, because Bowmasters, it doesn't stop you from brainstorming. So ideally, I'm going to brainstorm at the end of their turn. Sure, I'll take 3, I don't care, and then I'm just going to kill them. So I've drawn not that great, you know, a bit of land heavy. I have found another Inkmoth Nexus. Now I do deliberately attack with Inkmoth Nexus. Why? I have more than enough Nexuses left, so I'm kind of hoping that they use removal spells on this Inkmoth Nexus, because I would just want to empty their hand with good stuff. And then there will be a situation where if I draw like 1 or 2 protection spells, I just win. Main thing here is that I want to draw is Legolas. I think as soon as I draw Legolas here, I'm just going to go for it. So you can see them deploying threats. Now they have 3 cards in hand. So I'm like, okay, I think as soon as I draw 1 more pump spell, I'm just going to go for it. I mean, this is straightforward, right? I have 3 protection spells. They have 3 removal spells. It only makes sense. They will not have 3 bolts in hand. Okay, so I'm going to slam in. They do not do anything. I'm going to fire off with Invigorate. In response, they will fetch. The good part here is that now I have put them to 1. A combination of any pump spell here is still lethal. So they fire off a bolt, which I will first trigger happen. I'm going to Embiggen. Let's see what they do. There we go. Main reason that I'm also going to go for it now is that look at these lands, right? I know that they had 1 land here tapped. So they could only play double bolt. They could not play triple bolt because they didn't have the mana. So if they have anything left in the hand right now, it's going to be Bowmasters. However, I get to daze that one. So this was another reason why I should have definitely gone for it here. Anyway, I'm just going to Embiggen here. And I know I can play around daze because I can pay. And then we win the game. Nice. So this is what I was talking about, right? I just wait for the correct time to go for it. I'm not going to walk straight into their game plan, which is attacking each turn and then being able to bolt at the end of turn, and then me wasting my pump spells, because my pump spells are their removal spells, if that makes sense. So I need to decide when is the best time to go for it. Okay, so pretty straightforward win against Delver, as I said. We didn't really need Uro. If I would have drawn Uro at any point, it still would have been amazing, because it would have taken over the game as well. But we don't need it anymore. I think our hand is our deck is very well set up to deal with this, and Legolas at any given point would have just been game over. Cool. Next round. Okay, so I'm on the play again. This opening hand is pretty medium, you know. It plays 3 lands. I have a Force Will, but I need to pitch Blood Rage, which is my only threat. This really isn't that great. However, you know, I'm on the play, and is this bad enough to mulligan? If I draw 1 more pump spell in here, this is really good. So I was thinking about it for a while, but in the end I figured I think I'm just gonna keep. It's not like this hand is bad or anything. It's just a bit land heavy, but any cantrip here is good, which is 8 spells. Any pump spell is good too, especially with Legolas. Didn't really love keeping this, but I was okay. The perfect draw. No, with the way my hand is set up, I want to win as quickly as possible, especially since I've seen an Urborg come down. So I'm just going to play my threat right now. We get to untap, I'm feeling really good. Again, Legolas is just so powerful. I'm expecting Bowmasters here or Vampire Hexmage. Of course, that one needs to get forced because they will just make a 20/20. And as soon as I draw a pump spell here, we just win. So I draw a land. Pretty damn bad. Now, I am a bit afraid of Thoughts here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fire off Invigorate right now. Sure, if I draw my one of my 2 Berserks, that would suck. However, chances of me drawing another pump spell are much higher, and we just find it easy. So before people are thinking that this is like I sometimes see this like lucky top decks, you know. If we look at this statistically, I really consider Magic to be a combination of chess and poker. So we only had one pump spell in our hand, right? So we know that we had, in our draw steps, we had 9 cards that we could have drawn that would have won the game immediately. We have 3 Invigorates, 4 Embiggens, and then we had 2 Berserks. Now, if you also take into account that we had 4 Brainstorms and 4 Ponders to find right there, that's about 20 cards that we can draw that win the game, potentially. So this is why I think that the odds of us finding what we needed were a lot higher than you might have thought. Especially with our opponent following this up with Dark Depths into Thespian stage. It's not like their hand was bad. Force Will did win us the game, though. Okay, next one. Sideboard against Depths, black version that is of course we want Veils, we want Swords, that's the most important thing. And then, I don't think you really need Legolas. Yes, sometimes they will have some kind of removal spell, but really not that much. They rely heavily on discarding. And I'm on the draw, so that means I dislike Days. So I just take out 4 Legolas, 3 Days, and swap them for the Forces, Veils. And that's pretty much it. You know, happy with these changes. So opening hand here, pretty good. I'm not going to complain. Again, 1 land plus cantrip, that's a snap keep. We will find a land. If we fail to find it, I mean, that's Magic sometimes. We have a threat. I can potentially force pitching Blood Agent to keep Ponder. I have Veil of Summer. This has a lot going for it. Worst thing would be turn 1 Thoughtseize. Luckily, they do not have that. So I draw another pump spell. I'm going to play Elf. I still have Agent left, so if they do get rid of Elf here, that's not the end of the world. And if I untap with this, I'm feeling very happy. So here they play Saga, Diamond, a lot of good stuff going on for them. Pithing Needle is honestly quite bad. I don't really care about Pithing Needle. They're going to name Import Nexus, sure. What I'm going to do here is, since they tap out for Vampire Hexmage, of course, that cannot resolve. I'm going to counter that one. And I do decide to pitch the Bonder. There was some merits into pitching Blood Agent. However, what I think is going to happen here is either I'm going to draw a land and I'm going to slam down Blood Agent, or if I fail to find the land, I'm just going to attack with Embiggen and Invigorate for Elf, putting them to 9, and then putting them on the defense. And then as soon as I get to slam down that agent, it's looking good. So that was my game plan here. Let's see how we finish. So, boom. We just win. Not complaining about that one. But again, in this situation, any cantrip would have been good, any pump spell was good, and we found a pump spell. So play to your odds. That's all I can say. Okay, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's go to next round. Want to play again. This hand's okay, but nothing more. 4 lands, just a bit too much. Fortunately, then I had 0 lands, so I'm just going to keep this one and feel very bad. A mulligan to 5. This hand too is like medium at best. Especially after a mulligan to 5, you need to get lucky if you want to win. I have double force, which is not excellent. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to get rid of these double forces. As I said, I think that if you mulligan to 5, you need to get lucky a bit to win. And I don't think Force Will is a card that you can keep, because after mulligan to 5, and then you're 2 for 1 yourself again, might as well just concede. So I'm going to rely on me drawing another pump spell here, or finding the stuff that I need to win the game quickly. However, Chromox, scary, not a card that I like seeing. But I'm playing against like the Goblin deck. For people who don't know the deck, it's basically a deck that abuses the Nameless Goblin, which is completely busted on Magic Online, which is unfortunate. I really don't like that, getting a game that's different on Magic Online than playing paper Magic cards. Not going to go into detail here. Anyway, I do have Noble and 2 Embiggens, so I know that I have Lethal. So as long as if I play it safely, we can still squeeze out a win here. This one is a good addition. They get to shoot for 2 damage on something. That's scary. Now I know that I need this Noble, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to Embiggen the Noble, and then I'm going to block that one to prevent them from killing it. However, I didn't realize, but this actually has Menace, so I can't do that. Okay, so I need to survive. It's not game over by any means. So what they're going to do is they're going to definitely try and kill Blood Agent here. However, we can still win. What I need to do is I need to keep my Blood Agent alive. What they do is they kind of try and kill it. So I'm going to save it. However, what I need to do now is I need to block with Noble. However, that means that now I need to draw exactly Berserk if I want to win. Ponder, I fail to find Berserk, and I lose. Not much to be said here. They just had this one, which is really good, you know, shooting 2 damage each turn. However, usually I don't think the deck here is that big of a deal. We should be able to deal with it if we play it correctly. Sideboarding against the deck, also pretty straightforward. I don't think you need protection spells. All of your pump spells do the same. Berserk, not that good really. You don't want to play too much as a combo deck. What you want to bring in is you want to bring in Force of Vigors. This deck plays like all the hate stuff for like Shadows of the Void, Blood Moons, etc. So you want to get rid of that. And you don't play 4 swords because they also rely on creatures. This is basically like a Blood Moon-ish deck. So that's usually the same game plan. Pretty good. A lot of cantrips. 1 pump spell, 1 threat, so that's a keep. Let's start by fetching, playing Ponder. We have Force, Invigorate, and the land. I really want to draw Force right now. There we go. They also play Cavern, so potentially it doesn't do anything, but I mean, they have a nutty turn 1. Need to be able to stop it. There we go. So this is the card that I'm talking about. So this is really broken on Magic Online. It doesn't work the same as Paper Magic. I think this is silly. So this generates way too much mana, and it doesn't usually do that in real life. So this is silly. I was thinking about whether or not to show this, even because if you're reading this card right now, and if you're playing Paper, this will not work the same way. So it's stupid. Just know that this makes too much mana. Basically, that's it. I'm not going to counter this one, because I want to counter the follow-up. It doesn't do much on its own, so I want to stop that one from happening. Blood Moon. If they spend resources, that's really okay. I should be able to race them, depending on what they do. So, Bladder Agents. I know the way my hand is set up, I'm just going to win next turn, because this is 4, this is 4, Penal is 9, and then plus Agent, that's 10. So I know that as long as I don't have removal spells, I'm just going to be able to kill them. That's exactly what we did. So usually, as usual against these kind of decks, you win unless they have Blood Moon or Chalice to prevent you from winning the game or playing the game. That's just how Stompy decks works against Infect. Okay, we're on the draw this time. Pretty good hand. Again, everything I want. I have threats, pump spells, a cantrip to find stuff that I need, and swords is really good in this matchup. Because usually, if you can just kill 1 or maybe 2 of their creatures, then you are favored. They start off with a Tomb, Spirit Guide, and Rabble Master. I was a bit afraid here if they have Blood Moon or Chalice. Yikes. But this is a creature deck. This is like the new Goblins, if I can call it like that. So I like playing it like this. So we get rid of the best creature that they had here, Goblin Rabble Master, and that's just going to win me the game. Remember when I said that usually if you get rid of one of their creatures, you're fine? That's what happened here. Interesting choice here. I decided to play Inkmoth Nexus and not play Bladder Agents. Let me talk you through this decision. If I just untap here, and they usually don't play Wastelands or anything like that, I'm going to win next turn, because this is also why Embiggen is so strong in combination with Inkmoth Nexus. Embiggen is 5, right? So Embiggen plus Invigorate on Nexus is 10, so I'm just going to win next turn. I don't need Bladder Agent, and it was either play Nexus or Bladder Agent. I can't play both, because I started with Savannah to swords away the threat. So this is why I just played Inkmoth Nexus and passed. Kevin. So what could potentially happen here is they could play Pyrokinesis. That's a card that I've seen people play. I'm actually hoping that they have Pyrokinesis because I can just play around that one because I have Embiggen. So let's see what they do. If they don't have it, I'm just going to win anyway. I can win against removal spells. They didn't have any red producing mana too, so they need exactly Pyrokinesis to do something. And there we go, Pyrokinesis. Embiggen, boom, and we win. On the play again. Was lucky with my die rolls this time. So, pretty good hand. Again, any hand that has Legolas, that means I'm very inclined to keep. And otherwise I have cantrips, I have Force. I'm hoping that you see how consistent this deck has been this entire league. It's clear that 4 Ponders, 4 Brainstorms in combination with the Forest of Everything makes it very reliable that you can find what you need. Okay, so let's just play. I really want to brainstorm next turn. Depending on what they do, I may have to brainstorm end of turn, but so be it. Snow-covered island. I'm really hoping that we get to play against Beans at this point, because as I said, Beans is a very good matchup. And you can lose the matchup, but if you want to lose against Beans, they usually need to have exactly everything at the correct point. Otherwise, it's fairly easy for us. Okay, so here we're going to see Bowmasters. Don't care. As I said, Bowmasters doesn't stop Brainstorm from happening, so we can race this. That's really okay. So we put back... I definitely want to have a land. I definitely want that Legolas. So I'm just going to put these back. You can see me drawing the Legolas here. I don't need the Noble. It's going to be too slow. I want to win as quickly as possible. Potentially, I can just use Legolas and then Invigorate to get rid of the Orc Army token. What I just want to do is I just want to draw a pump spell and then we win. That's the way it goes. So we don't need any more cantrips. That's what I'm saying. If we do find a cantrip though, again, Legolas is just nuts, because what's going to happen if we find cantrips is what we can do is we can actually use the cantrip. What they will usually do is fire 1 damage to Agent and the rest to us, or everything on the threat, which is probably even better. But then in response, I can Legolas, which is something that happens quite a lot. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to get rid of this 4/4. I have triple Legolas, so I'm feeling extremely safe. As I said, our win button has been pressed. So I'm just going to use that one. I'm going to use Legolas right now. And I could opt to kill the Orc or the Bowmasters. Unfortunately for us, they do have Shieldred. That's pretty much the only thing that they could have had here that stops us. I force, they force back. Sucks. Looks like I'm not playing against Beans yet. Shouldn't be too quick to say this, because blue into Underground Sea could still be Beans. Unlikely, but it's possible. Sideboarding. So I bring in Swords, Uro, and Veils. I was expecting this to be not Beans, but more like a Sultai-ish control deck. That's what I was looking for. If it is that, and they do not play white, that means Uro is just insane, because they can't get rid of it. Especially with me having so much protection spells. I want to play, so I'm cutting some number of forces. I haven't seen too much of their deck, so it could also just be like Delver-ish with Shieldred. And maybe a random island in there. Could also be something like that Shadow-ish build. It could be a lot of things, so I'm going to play cards that I'm certain that are good against them. Okay, so let's watch the opening hand. First one did not have any land in there, so that was an easy mulligan. This mulligan is very good. Yeah, it's for a mulligan to 6, can't complain. It has a lot of stuff. Gonna cut 1 days because I have another one. So I'm just gonna play the land, pass. At this point, I'm gonna fetch, a drop. Just gonna play Agent here. I mean, I have Nexus left, so I still have a threat. Kind of hoping that they Bowmasters next turn, then I can daze. That would be sweet. They Ponder here. I'm not going to daze the Ponder. A lot of cantrips. I'm going to Ponder here. See what they do. They drop. They Spell Pierce. Honestly, this is perfect. I'm going to daze the Spell Pierce. And this is really good. So I put Noble on top. And then next thing that's happening is going to be drawing a daze. And then if I remember correctly, a Veil of Summer. What do you want to do against against control decks? Because now it does seem like it's a control deck, especially with me having seen Tropical Island, is you want to push through Infect damage ASAP. So I just slam down Invigorate right now because they're out-tapped. So they need exactly Force Will in order for me to stop this. Or in order for them to stop my Invigorate from resolving. If they do have Force Will, I don't really mind all that much. Again, I have double Brainstorm, so I should be able to find another pump spell, and I'm still going to be able to slam it for 2 and have these threats. So I was very happy to just trade off 1 Invigorate for 2 cards. I'm okay with that. A Wasteland, so that's unfortunate. They do have Cut and Nexus. However, even this is still okay by me. I have double Brainstorm, so I will find new threats. I've gotten rid of 2 more removal spells, so I'm okay with that. Okay, so I'm going to play the land. I'm just going to chill. Get the Brainstorm on top. Because I want to dig as deep as possible to find threats. Here they play Murktide. Don't really care. Let me tell you why this is not that big of a deal. So, again, I consider Magic to be a combination of chess and poker. Statistically, if you look, I've now seen almost 15 cards of my deck. Why 15? Because I've brought in 4 Swords to Plowshares. So statistically, with this brainstorm, the chances of me finding Swords to Plowshares are very high. What I'm hoping right now is that I actually do find it. Brainstorm into Swords, I can Swords Murktide, and then I'm hoping that I actually force back, and then I could Veil of Summer. That would be perfect. But let's just see what happens. Brainstorm, double Uro. Okay, that's fine too. That will take the game over. Can't cast it just yet, but okay. Murktide's only a 6/6, so just gonna chill. 6. And I'm pretty happy to just slam down Murktide, see what happens. So Beanstalk, another reason why Beanstalk really isn't that great is that we usually win in one turn, and Beanstalk needs to generate value in a long course of the game, but that's not what Infect does. Infect doesn't give you time, so Beanstalk really isn't that great. So we draw with Uro. I'm going to slam in. It's clear they don't have that much going on. And I'm going to draw cards with Uro too, so I can keep up with this up to Beanstalk. I'm going to try and resolve Uro right now. Make him have Force Will. If they don't, it's looking really good. If they do, okay, so be it. So that resolves, excellent. And now we both have a 6/6. However, mine also gains life and draws me cards, so I'm very happy. I'm just going to attack. Put a land into play, slam in. I'm feeling fully in the driver's seat right now. I'm just going to play another Uro to draw some cards. Not even going to brainstorm here. Just going to play it like this. Veil of Summer, they just cycle in the Veil of Summer. That's funny. So they Pernicious Deed. That's interesting, right? Pernicious Deed. In respond, I'm going to put... You can see me even putting pump spells on top, because I don't need pump spells. The thing is here, they have Pernicious Deed. However, if they want to destroy each artifact, creature, enchantment with a certain mana value, they will also kill up the Beanstalk if they want to take away Uro with it. So I was very okay with this, especially since I've drawn Swords. So now, again, I'm really hoping that I get to Swords Murktide and I can Veil of Summer. That will be perfect. Let's see what happens. Let's draw the Nexus. Invigorate's on top, if I do want it. At this point, I do want that Invigorate. Never know, I can still win with Infect. Could have shuffled it away. I'm going to damage them first. Now let's ponder, find another Swords. So I can't see us losing at any... I don't know. I don't know how we can lose at this point. So I'm just going to slam in. Now I will Swords, see what happens. I was expecting them to fight over this. Okay, so here you can see Force of Will. What you want to do is you don't want them to draw cards. So in response to the trigger of the Beanstalk, you want to prevent that from happening. So I'm going to Veil of Summer. That happens. Now I'm going to draw. Swords will happen, and I mean, this game is over. I'm happy to show you just how good Uro was in the matchup. Especially against like these Sultai decks, they just can't get rid of it. Now I'm gonna hard cast Uro. Put a bunch of stuff into play. And put them to 1. They will take back Force Will. I mean, that's okay. Oh no, they didn't use it. That makes sense. Legolas is really good. So they will need to get rid of Uro now. I can just recast it. Don't really care. I have so many lands too. This really feels like me being control deck. Pernicious Deed. Get rid of everything. Sure. And I'm going to recast my Uro. It just never goes away. I still have Swords and Noble too. I can even attack with Noble and still win. Play another land. I have 0 lands that I can fetch at this point. Okay, so they Fatal Push, I Legolas, and I think that's game. They do not concede just yet. Okay. Now they concede. Nice, that was a lovely game. Let's go to the last one. So this opening hand is awkward. Really wish this would have been a tropical. then it would have been a snap keep. But I mean, I can't keep this. I have to mulligan. A lot better. Counter spells, cantrip, threat. I will find pump spells. You don't need those in your opening hand. At least not against this deck. Savannah's the worst one in the 7, so let's get rid of it. Legolas. Perfect top deck. I hope that it's clear by watching this league just how powerful Legolas was. Every time I have Legolas, I feel like I almost can't lose. It's that powerful. So I'm not even going to ponder here at this point. I see people using their cantrips way too often, way too soon. You should remember why you cantrip, right? Because you want to find certain stuff. So you want to wait, cantripping it for as long as you can. At this situation, I was hoping to find pump spells and just kill them. We're going to slam it with Nexus here first. So I can now leave open green mana for Elf or Legolas. I decided to keep green mana open for Legolas because I was expecting them to use Fatal Push, and I don't want to lose Inkmoth Nexus. So they go for Temporal Mastery here. This is funny because I don't care. They haven't played a land, so what are they going to do? This is just them. This is 2 mana, draw 1. I couldn't care less. Okay, so they take back a land, sure. And the Legolas going to ponder first. Okay, Blooded Agents is not bad. I can probably use 1 so I can pitch it to Force. Anyway, let's just slam in. Let's see if they have removal spells, which they do not. So I was happy about that. We're going to fight over Murktide. I pitched Blighted Agents. Again, I knew there was another one coming, and I had Flusterstorm. I was expecting them to maybe fight over this with Force Will. Now, I didn't want to find... at this point, I didn't want to draw the Blighted Agents because I have double Nexus and I have Elf. So I have enough threats. I don't need another one. So we're going to slam in. I think this is the perfect timing for me to actually invigorate. And if I remember correctly, this was an interesting point. So I'm going to go a bit more slowly here. So I invigorate, right? And take a look at this. My opponent Fatal Pushes here, and this is a very interesting turn. I have 2 options now, and it's very important what I'm going to do. So I can now Flusterstorm first, and then I can Legolas, or, well, if they have interaction, of course, or I could Legolas first, and then I could Flusterstorm. And there is a reasoning for both, right? Let me show you, or let me talk you through why certain decisions are important here. If I Legolas first, that means Fatal Push will work, and then they will probably, if they have Counter Magic, they will use it on Invigorate, and then I get the Flusterstorm that, and that's a guarantee. However, that means that if I Legolas right now, and they do not have Counter Magic, that the Flusterstorm gets worse. The other way around is if I use Flusterstorm first, Fatal Push will always get countered. However, if they have Counter Magic, that means Legolas does not do anything here, and that means I deal less Infect damage. As I said before, what you want to do is you want to generate as much Infect damage as possible, as soon as possible. So I think at this point it's better to use Legolas first, and I'm actually hoping that they use Force Will, because then I can cash in this Flusterstorm. That's the best setup that you can do in this situation. And even if this fails, imagine if I use Legolas, it just happens, and then I get to slam it for 6. I can still play Glistener Elf, because then I've dealt 5 Infect damage, putting them to 7, and then with me having 3 threats and still having Flusterstorm up, I'm feeling pretty good as well. So I think that's a better setup. That maybe went a bit fast. If you want to go back and listen to that again, go and do that, because I do think that this was an interesting decision to make. All right, so let's see what happens. So I use Legolas. So that happens. Cool. My opponent Force Wills, or Force Negations, plus the Storm, and I'm going to be able to counter the Force Negations. So our choices really pay off excellently here, because we win the battle. Slamming in, putting them to 7. Nice. Always love it when a setup works as planned. Okay, so they now have 2 cards left in hand. I'm feeling really good. They have Murktide. Sure. I'm going to ponder. I find swords. Perfect. So I'm going to get rid of it. Now that they only have 1 card, I'm going to slam it for 1, putting them to 8 infects, and I'm feeling very happy. Next turn I can just double animate, kill him. What I'm going to do here, I'm just going to make him have removal spells. Even if they get rid of 1 or 2 stuff, I mean, I still have elf, blood agents. So I'm just gonna keep on presenting threat after threat, and we win the game. Nice. That was a really cool one, especially the turn where we had the option of going Flusterstorm and Legolas. That was really important. Okay, let's go to last round. It's a pretty bad hand. It doesn't really do anything. So that was a mulligan. Next one is even worse. This is literally nothing. So I'm going to mulligan to 5 and feel quite sad. For a mulligan to 5, this is about as good as it gets. Well, that's not true. It's fine for a mulligan to 5. However, we are playing against Reanimator. Could also be Rescaminator, especially with them playing the Troll right now. That was what I was expecting. So, not looking good. However, let's continue. Maybe we can still get there. Troll takes some time, and we are fast, so we could still get there. So I'm going to fetch. I'm going to play my threat. Pass. They will just attack. And now they have Fatal Push on Elf 2, so yikes. And now, so we had Invigorate, we had Land, and we also had Legolas. Think about this for a while. This is actually an extremely, extremely good pond. So again, Invigorate, Legolas, and this Land. What I'm going to do right now is put them in such a way that sets everything up perfectly for me. I've put the cards in such a way that next turn I'm actually going to be able to win. What I don't want them to take is Invigorate. That's pretty much it. I want that next turn. And I definitely need Embiggen to win the game. So what's going to happen here is that I put Invigorate to draw it next turn. So I took the land right now. I don't need that one. And next turn I'm going to draw Invigorate. The reason to put them like this is that next turn I can animate Nexus, Embiggen, Invigorate, and on Inkmoth Nexus that's 10. So putting them on top of my library is the safest place to put them. And now if they have discard spells, they can take away one Embiggen and I'm still going to be able to win because they have another one. So that's why I put the Ponder the way I did. Let's see if it works out. So they slam in. They thought sees me. This is why I took the 2 Embiggens. I draw the Invigorate. And looks like I'm going to win the game. That was pretty damn cool. Mulliganing to 5 and still winning, that was amazing. So yeah, nice. Pretty proud of that one. Against Rescaminator, you can bring in Surgical. At this point, I decided not to. Maybe looking back on this, I don't know if that was correct. Maybe I should have brought it in. I wasn't sure if this was just like regular blue-black scam. I don't know. I'm not sure about this sideboarding. I just wanted to put that one out. Maybe. I think looking back on it, I probably should have brought in Surgical. And I probably shouldn't have played Heroes because I did bring them in. I don't know about this sideboard plan. Actually, looking back on it, it feels to me like I was expecting to be playing against blue-black scam, which I think it's Rescaminator. So I think this was incorrect sideboarding by me. Just putting that one out there. Okay. Anyway, opening hand, pretty good. Not excellent or anything, but it's fine. I'm gonna keep. Play with the Swamp. Legolas isn't great. They simply play a land and pass. I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to play Nexus and pass. I have my threat right now. I really want to get rid of these Legolases right now. So they have Entomb. I'm going to brainstorm, see if I can do anything about it. I do not. I'm going to hide away Invigorate on top. Again, safest place to put your pump spells on top. Now they have the Troll. Swamp. Arcan's not that big of a deal. So I draw the Invigorate. It's going to fetch. I just need to find a pump spell and then I can still win. But let's just play Blighter Agent. They're playing it rather safe, so Ritual into Plague Engineer. That sucks. Plague Engineer is what kills me here. So I really need to find swords, but lo and behold, there we find it. I do find another Invigorate. That's really good. So I'm just going to get Plague Engineer here. Funny thing is that they actually named Human, so that's definitely a mistake. So I'm like, okay, I don't need to swords away that Plague Engineer right now. I'm feeling really good at this stage. And there we go for Shieldred. I'm going to daze Shieldred. Really happy with the Veil of Summer and swords. So with me having another Invigorate, I feel like the only way we can lose it is they had exactly another Shieldred, which chances of that happening are fairly low. But there we go, they do have it. So yikes, game over. Double Shieldred is unfortunate. That feels really bad, but okay, it's still not game over. If we draw one more threat, since they named human, we can still get there. Okay, Bowmasters, don't really care about Bowmasters. I could cycle that Veil of Summer, but I think I want to keep it. I want to cash it in for when they have discard. Gonna have to probably use swords soon, but I want to wait for as long as I can. Any threat here now is fine, especially with me having the Legolas. I actually cast Noble here into Plague Engineer because I'm just so used to people naming Phyrexian, I forgot. That's definitely my mistake. Okay, so I'm gonna have to use the swords to stay alive. I just want to find the threat. Fortunately for us, Ponder finds us that we need, but is it good enough? I'm gonna swords away at Bowmasters. I used the Veil of Summer there to prevent damage from Bowmasters. Troll, Badlands. I said I'm gonna swords away Bowmasters. That's not true. I'm gonna swords away the Orc army because it keeps me alive a bit longer. It's not looking good in any case. So I play the Nexus. Fortunately, I need to animate. And I have another Shieldred. So I was hoping that I could buy myself some time, because keep in mind Elf was on top. So I can block this one. Next time I could play Elf and block that one. Maybe win the game in one life. But there were too many Shieldreds here, unfortunately, for me. Okay, so I think last game we're a bit unfortunate. The second Shieldred was the most painful one, because keep in mind I had that Invigorate right for lethal. This hand's good. I'm gonna feel very happy about this. Gonna play Elf, pass. If I remember correctly, this is gonna be a painful ending for me. It stays. Okay, so I'm gonna play Noble, slam in. Since they've already used one Fatal Push, the reason there was a reason for me to here keep up the Legolas and protect Elf. However, a reason why I wanted to play Noble is if they had Shieldred, I would feel silly if I hadn't used Noble. This does walk into Bowmasters. I mean, I've seen Shieldred 3 times now last game. I've seen it a lot more than Bowmasters, so that's why I decided to play it like this. Especially since they've also already used one Fatal Push. Fortunately, they had another Fatal Push. Okay, sucks, but so be it. Then I draw the Veil of Summer. That's also painful, but I'm gonna slam in. Hoping for discard spells. Ritual, into Entomb, into Reanimate. Okay, I can Veil of Summer that one. That means I don't have to discard. So I want to draw swords now. That would be good. I'm thinking about getting rid of this Archon. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fire off all my pump spells and get rid of Archon. They have one card in hand, and I'm going to deal a lot of damage. So this was actually pretty nice. Okay, so I'm going to Embiggen. I'm going to Invigorate and Invigorate again. Then I can fetch a Legolas, and I'm going to be slamming in for 12. So I'm going to put them to 3 life. So I'm feeling very favored here at this point. This means that right now they have 3 life. All reanimates are out of the question. They entomb here, so they have 0 cards in hand. And I'm like, okay, every single pump spell here wins me the game. And I'm feeling extremely favored, especially against Rescaminator, because Reanimate no longer works. But guess what? Well, they just top deck Animate Dead. I'm not gonna lie, I felt really sad here. That was like, yikes. I think that was maybe a 1 or a 2 of, so the pain here was very, very real. And that's just the game. That was unfortunate. Otherwise, it would have been a sweet, sweet 5-0. Should know that. Okay, I did sideboard a bit incorrectly, probably here. Otherwise, I was very happy. I felt like, especially after a Mulligan to 5 game 1, we did get lucky there. So that's magic. All right, let's go for finishing thoughts. So finishing up, list feels amazing. Infect right now is so strong again. If you've been wanting to play Infect again, now is the time to do so. You saw how powerful Legolas was. Whenever I have Legolas, I feel like I almost can't lose against certain decks. Keep in mind, I will be playing 4 Force of Vigor and 2 Hydroblasts. We didn't encounter Blood Moons or Chalices in this league. or at least we didn't see any. But that's the only thing I'm really afraid of right now, honestly. If we get to play Magic, I think we are very well set up. We saw us winning either fairly easily or making it very difficult for our opponents to interact with us. So yeah, I'm happy with this list. And as always, if you have any questions, just ask me any questions that you want, and I will try and answer each and every single response that I get. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.